Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Cole Phillips, author of The Adventure of the Twisted Truths and host of The Book and Dagger, a YouTube channel where we talk about everything fiction and fantasy. Today, this is a video I am particularly invested in because I'm going to be talking about Faramir, one of my favorite characters from all Lord of the Rings. Now, if you have only ever seen the movie version of Lord of the Rings, you might be wondering, why is he your favorite character? Let me explain that. So today, first of all, let's just do a little talk about how Faramir is portrayed in the movies because it is slightly different from the books. Now, in the movies, we first meet Faramir when he captures Frodo and Sam as they're journeying to Mordor to destroy the ring. It's not. I don't think it's specifically said in the movies, but in the books, it's explained that Frodo and Sam are in Ithilien, which is it's a little kind of strip of land between Gondor and Mordor. It's kind of like a little like Gondor and citizens used to live there, and then as the threat of Mordor grew bigger and more terrifying, most of the citizens of Ithilien fled over just into mainland Gondor. Now, Frodo and Sam and Golem are, of course, journeying through, and Faramir surprised his men find them. In the movies, they take Frodo and Sam prisoner. Golem escapes. He books it out of there as soon as he hears them. And then Faramir interrogates Frodo and Sam and is kind of like, "Oh, what are you guys doing? Why are you here? And what about your friend?" And he's kind of like harsh and mean to them. And eventually he reveals to them that, hey, he's Boromir's brother. And Boromir was found dead. And in the extended editions of the movies, we get to see some flashback clips of Faramir that show how he's the second son of the younger son of Lord Denethor, the steward of Gondor, who's a very crappy father. This is in the books. He loves Boromir and he does not like Faramir. Um, Mostly because in the books it's explained that Faramir reminds him too much of his dead wife, and also he just doesn't think that Faramir is more of a kind soul, and he doesn't believe that Faramir has what it takes to be a ruler. He thinks Boromir is giving more trust in that aspect. Anyway, so eventually, in the movie version, Faramir finds out that Frodo and Sam have the One Ring, the ruling ring of Sauron, and he attempts to take it. He puts his sword at Frodo's chest and is like, "This is a chance for me to prove my quality to my father." Eventually, however, after Sam intervenes, Faramir decides, "Well, I'm not going to take the ring for myself, but I'll take it back to Minas Tirith and give it to my father. Then maybe he'll know me for who I am, and he'll recognize me as his son, essentially." However, after seeing how evil the ring is and what it does to Frodo, he decides to let Frodo and Sam go. That would be better if the ring is destroyed. And he orders his men to help them however they can. Now, in the third movie, we see him go back to Minas Tirith, and in the extended version, this isn't in the theatrical, but in the extended version, we actually get to see a scene of Faramir and Denethor talking, and Denethor is absolutely furious that Faramir sent the ring off, as he says, in the hands of a witless halfling into the enemy territory. Faramir says that the ring corrupts all who possess it, and it would have just corrupted all the Gondorians. Denethor was like, "Oh no, I could have wielded the ring. We wouldn't have used it, not until our darkest hour of need, but we could have kept it secret in the safe in the dark halls of the Citadel." And it kind of highlights how Denethor is going mad over his brain is not there fully because he is just literally despairing to death over how he can protect his city against the forces that Sauron is amassing. And where Faramir, in an attempt to regain his father's love and prove that he is a worthy leader, he takes men out to reclaim the city of Osgiliath. Of course, this is a failed attempt because Denethor gives him too few soldiers, and it's a futile, hopeless attempt from the beginning. Faramir returns wounded to the city with arrows, and we don't really see him for the rest of the movie. He kind of is like healed. Like even in the extended version, we don't see him a lot. We just see him. Denethor attempts to burn him on the funeral pyre with himself. And then eventually we see Faramir. In the extended editions of the movie, we get to see Faramir and Eowyn in the Houses of Healing together. And then we see Faramir at Aragorn's coronation. That's kind of all we really see, and then we don't really get a whole lot more. In the books, Faramir actually has a far more important role, and there were some drastic changes made. So in the books, when Faramir meets Frodo and Sam, he actually never tries to take the ring. There's even this scene in the books where he is talking to Frodo and Sam before he even knows they have the ring, and he goes, they're talking about the evil ring, and he goes, even if I found this ring like laying by the roadside, I would not take it. I know like it's evil, it corrupts people. And then later he finds out Frodo and Sam have the ring, and he starts laughing. He goes, "So this is a grand thing." And he stands up, like puts his hand on the hilt of his sword, and he's like, "I could." He's like, "This is a fine chance for Faramir, Captain of Gondor, to show his quality." And Frodo and Sam get all scared because they're like, "Oh, he's gonna try to take the ring." And then Faramir just laughs and sits down, and it's kind of like he was playing a joke on them, essentially. Like he was basically teasing them, making them think he was going to take the ring when in reality he was no plans to do that whatsoever. But it's really funny because it scares the heck out of Frodo and Sam, and Faramir is just like, he sits down, he's like, no, I'm not taking it. Like, I'm not that stupid to take a dangerous evil artifact that was made by an evil being, filled with an evil being's power, and like can only be used for evil. And he sends them on their way. He helps them out, and then he returns to Minas Tirith. Like in the movies, it shows in the books, he returns to Minas Tirith. He talks with Lord Denethor, and Denethor is not pleased that Faramir sent Frodo and Sam on to Mordor with the ring. And it's kind of very similar. He's like in the books, it's a lot more toned down. In the movies, Denethor is like shouting at Faramir. In the books, he's like it's like cold, like kind of icy disapproval. But he's like basically gets upset and he's like, I wish, and in both in the book and movies there's that scene where he says, I wish Boromir had lived and you had died in his stead. So it's really just like Faramir's just really trying to do his best, and he is this noble guy. He's got a pure heart. He is fighting his best, doing the job of his older brother and him, and his father is just treating him like crap and basically saying you're not good enough. So the book's Faramir goes, I'll retake Osgiliath. Like movies, and he says, if I return, and both book and movies, he goes, if I return, think better of me, father. And Denethor was just like, that'll depend on the manner of your return, which is a very, bro, your son could die. You don't want to say you love him or something before he goes. Anyway, so in the books, Denethor is, and the movies, Faramir is wounded, of course. In the books, Gandalf rides out and saves him, or Gandalf and Prince Imril and a bunch of other knights, they ride out and save Faramir, bring him back. He's been in the movies, they just show a couple arrows stuck in him, which is like, okay, that's fine, he'll heal up eventually. In the books, they actually explain that he was hit with a dart that came from a ring wraith, and so the black breath, the sickness that comes whenever a Nazgul wound and deals damage to somebody, the black breath takes him, which is essentially he's going to slip deeper and deeper into sleep and then eventually die. Now, in the books, Aragorn actually comes to the houses of healing, and Aragorn is the king. He has the blood. He's the bloodline of Numenor in him, so he has healing powers. As the ancient prophecies said, the hands of the king are the hands of healers, and so shall the rightful king be known. So Aragorn comes through. He heals the Black Breath from Eowyn, Faramir, and Merry. Merry and Eowyn got it when they fought the Witch King and they stabbed him, but they received wounds in the process. And Faramir, of course, received it from the dart. Now, as Faramir is in the Houses of Healing, he actually talks with Eowyn a lot. And this is really interesting because in the movies, Arwen and Aragorn are the main romance that goes on. And in the books, that it actually is, but you never see it until the third book. Like in the first Lord of the Rings book, Aragorn like drops subtle hints like in conversation that he's in love with Arwen. Other than that, there's not really like there's some like subtle hints and there's nothing there. In the second book, Arwen's basically not there. In the third book, Aragorn is riding to the path when he's riding to Rohan to then take the path of the dead. Elrond's two sons and some Dunedain come and they bring Arwen sewed Aragorn this banner of the ancient kings of Gondor. And this is kind of like, oh, okay, they're actually like they're in love. That's for me. That was the first time I was like, okay, they're actually like there's like a message she gave, and it's like, oh, okay, they're actually in love, and she's waiting for him to become king so that she can marry him. And then in the third book, of course, they get married. In the third movie, of course, they get married. Um, but actually, in the books, the most time that is given to a romance is Eowyn and Faramir. It's I think almost a whole chapter is devoted to them when Aragorn and his men have gone off to the Black Gate, and the people in Minas Tirith are just kind of waiting, like, okay, what's going to happen? Are they going to be victorious in war against Sauron, or is Sauron going to crush them and then come to crush us again? And Eowyn and Faramir are kind of like they're two warriors who are stuck in like a hospital essentially, and they both lost a lot. Faramir has his father, of course, burned himself to death. His brother was killed by orcs. His mother died in childbirth. He's tried to do so much to protect his city, but he's done nothing. And now it looks like he's going to lose his position as steward, and Aragorn's going to become the king. Eowyn has lost her parents. She's lost her cousin. Just lost her uncle on the battlefield. Um, Her brother rode off to war against the cabin. She's a shield maiden. She was in love with Aragorn, but she wasn't in love with Aragorn. She was in love with the idea of Aragorn, and which she just basically realized. She thought she was in love with him, but what she didn't realize was that she was in love with the idea of a warrior king who also was a healer, who showed up like he essentially entered her life at a very dark point when Wormtongue was there, like manipulating King Theoden. Like nothing was going right, and then essentially Aragorn and Gandalf the others strode in and set everything right. And Aragorn's basically like told her, "Hey, it's not me that you love. It's like it's the idea of me that you love." And she's realized that. And okay, everyone, sorry about that. My internet glitched out on me. Anyway, so basically what happens is oh yeah, so Aragorn, Eowyn and Faramir are in the Houses of Healing, and they both lost everything, and eventually they have their like they begin to talk and they take walks in the garden, and eventually they realize that they're in love with each other and that each one is the person that the other one's been looking for this whole time. And they have this beautiful moment where they stand on the walls and the sunlight falls upon them, and they, as a that moment they not only realize they love, but also as the eagles come and they bring news of that Sauron has been defeated, and eventually they welcome Aragorn and the captains and the army when they return home, and then they go to um, everybody like kind of goes to Rohan after Aragorn is crowned king and after he marries Arwen. Their whole group goes to like Rohan. They bury King Theoden. Eomer is declared the new king, and then Faramir and Eowyn are wed there. And there's this really wonderful moment between Eowyn and Aragorn where they basically Eowyn like looks at Aragorn and she's like Aragorn sees that she is actually happy and he's glad, and she's actually happy and she's glad because she knows she's happy, and because she's found Faramir, the man she's deeply in love with. And Aragorn is happy, and he tells her that he is glad. He tells her, "I have wished thee joy since first I saw you. It heals my heart now to see you in bliss." Because he's glad that she's found a man that she loves, because he found the man that or he has the woman he loved, Arwen, and but he had to kind of reject Eowyn and be like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I don't love you. I'm in love with Arwen," and that was like it was hard for him to do because he knew how much Eowyn loved him or the idea of him. But anyway, and then Faramir goes on to become the Prince of Ithilien and the Steward of Gondor. He's kind of like Aragorn's right hand man. He just gets this really good. It's just really he used to had a very crappy story. Like was dealt a very bad hand, but he ended up with a lot of good things happening to him. That kind of because of his he was a good guy from the beginning, and because of that, he was eventually dealt a good hand in life. And yeah, that's Faramir. He is one of my favorite characters in all Lord of the Rings. And I hope if you are someone who's only watched the movies, that watching this video helped you understand his character a bit more. He is, I would say, he's probably my second favorite character, or maybe my third behind Aragorn and probably Tom. I would say probably Aragorn's my favorite. Tom Bombadillo is my second, and Faramir's my third, which you have not seen my video on Tom Bombadillo, by the way. He's a character they cut entirely from the movies because he's a very interesting character. You should go check out my video on Tom Bombadillo. And but yeah, that's my video on Faramir, and I will see you guys next time with more exciting stories from Lord of the Rings and other shows.